Most speakers focus on what they say, but the elite focus on how they structure it. If your presentations feel static, you are missing the rhythmic power of chiasmus and anadiplosis. These aren't just fancy words, they are the architectural secrets to commanding high-stakes academic rooms with absolute intellectual weight. Public speaking is one of the most valuable communication skills in today's world. Whether you are delivering a business presentation, participating in a debate, giving a classroom speech, or addressing a large audience, the words you choose can determine how effectively your message is received. Great speakers don't rely only on facts and information, they use rhetorical devices, which are powerful language techniques designed to persuade, inspire, and leave a lasting impression. Famous leaders, motivational speakers, and successful presenters use these techniques to make their speeches memorable and emotionally engaging. In today's lesson, we'll explore several advanced rhetorical devices that can elevate your public speaking and presentation skills. Let's begin with one of the most powerful rhetorical devices, repetition. Repetition involves repeating important words or phrases to emphasize a message and make it memorable. Consider Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous speech, where he repeatedly used the phrase, "I have a dream." Each repetition reinforced his vision and strengthened the emotional impact of his speech. In your own presentations, you might repeat a key phrase such as, "Success begins with action," to ensure that your audience remembers your central idea. Another effective technique is the rule of three. Human brains naturally respond well to information presented in groups of three because it feels complete and balanced. Speakers often use three parallel words or phrases to create rhythm and emphasis. For example, learn consistently, practice confidently, and succeed brilliantly. This simple structure makes ideas easier to remember and gives speeches a polished, professional flow. The rhetorical question is another valuable device. Unlike ordinary questions, rhetorical questions are asked not to receive an answer but to encourage the audience to think. For example, what would happen if you never stopped learning? Or, who doesn't want to become a better communicator? These questions engage listeners mentally and make them more involved in your presentation. One advanced technique is anaphora, which involves repeating the same word or phrase at the beginning of consecutive sentences or clauses. For example, we will learn, we will improve, we will succeed. This repetition creates rhythm, builds momentum, and inspires confidence. Many of history's greatest speeches use anaphora to create emotional impact. Closely related to anaphora is epistrophe, which repeats the same word or phrase at the end of successive sentences. For example, we need courage in our actions, confidence in our decisions, and honesty in our leadership. Repeating the ending phrase creates emphasis and reinforces the speaker's message in the audience's memory. Another persuasive device is parallelism, which means using the same grammatical structure in a series of related ideas. Consider the sentence, to learn is to grow, to practice is to improve, and to teach is to inspire. Parallel structure makes ideas clearer, more balanced, and easier to follow. It also gives speeches a smooth, professional rhythm. Metaphors are also widely used in persuasive speaking. A metaphor compares one thing directly to another without using the words like or as. For example, education is the bridge to opportunity, or, your mindset is the engine of your success. Metaphors simplify complex ideas and help audiences visualize abstract concepts. Similarly, analogies explain unfamiliar ideas by comparing them with familiar experiences. A speaker might say, building your career is like planting a tree. It requires patience, consistent care, and time before you see the full results. Analogies make complicated concepts easier to understand while keeping the audience engaged. Another powerful technique is contrast, which highlights differences between two opposing ideas. For example, you can spend your life making excuses, or you can spend your life making progress. Contrasts sharpen the message and help audiences recognize important choices or priorities. Storytelling is perhaps one of the oldest and most effective rhetorical techniques. Instead of presenting facts alone, successful speakers often begin with a personal story, a historical event, or an inspiring example. Stories create emotional connections, make information memorable, and help audiences relate to the speaker. A simple story often has a greater impact than a long list of statistics. Speaking of statistics, combining facts with emotional language creates a balanced argument. Numbers provide credibility, while emotional appeals create motivation. For example, a speaker discussing education might combine research findings with the story of a student whose life changed through learning. This combination appeals to both logic and emotion. Another useful rhetorical device is inclusive language. Words such as we, are, and together create a sense of unity between the speaker and the audience. Instead of saying, you need to improve, a speaker might say, together, we can improve our communication skills. Inclusive language builds trust and encourages cooperation. Professional speakers also use strategic pauses. Silence, when used effectively, gives audiences time to reflect on important ideas and creates anticipation before key points. Rather than speaking continuously, experienced presenters pause briefly after delivering a significant statement. This simple technique adds confidence and emphasizes the message. Another persuasive method is using powerful transitions. Phrases such as, now let's consider. More importantly, imagine this, and, here's the key point, guide audiences smoothly through the presentation while maintaining their attention. Good transitions prevent speeches from sounding disconnected or confusing. Voice variety also contributes to persuasive communication. Although not technically a rhetorical device, changing your tone, speed, and volume reinforces important messages. Slowing down before a major point, raising your voice for emphasis, or lowering it during an emotional moment helps audiences remain engaged and understand the speaker's intentions. One common mistake many speakers make is using overly complicated language. Effective persuasion depends on clarity rather than complexity. Even advanced rhetorical devices work best when combined with simple, direct vocabulary. Your goal is not to impress your audience with difficult words but to ensure your message is understood and remembered. The best way to master rhetorical devices is through observation and practice. Watch speeches by respected leaders, TED speakers, educators, and motivational speakers. Pay attention to how they repeat ideas, tell stories, ask questions, and create emotional impact. Then practice incorporating one or two rhetorical devices into your own presentations until they become natural. In conclusion, advanced rhetorical devices are powerful tools that transform ordinary speeches into memorable and persuasive presentations. Techniques such as repetition, the rule of three, rhetorical questions, anaphora, epistrophe, parallelism, metaphors, analogies, contrast, storytelling, inclusive language, and strategic pauses help speakers connect with audiences, communicate ideas clearly, and inspire meaningful action. By practicing these techniques regularly, you'll become a more confident, influential, and effective communicator in every area of life. If you found this lesson helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more English communication skills, public speaking tips, vocabulary lessons, grammar tutorials, and presentation strategies. Comment below with your favorite rhetorical device and try using it in a short speech or presentation. Keep practicing, keep speaking with confidence, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Happy learning!